I think we're on.
Welcome. Yeah, we are live here with Quantum Leap, and we had a last minute scheduling change. So Cory and I are actually going to do a quick segment on business development and really the roots of a quantum leap and how Cory can actually help you out with that. And we actually have also a partnership coming up that we're working on in the same vein. So first we'll do our check-in. How's it going for you, Cory?
It's going really well. We're excited to launch our new, we have the membership community going for the last year, but we're launching a new marketing campaign, copywriting, kind of really getting our message honed for who this is for and setting a new pricing structure.
Yeah, great. No, I love all your social media content and I follow you there. I've been taking a little bit of a break from some of the business stuff as I reorient it on, marketing some of these new programs. And for my check-in, I actually wanted to, since it's been a while for this show, to get back to this concept of quantum leap. And every time I'm preparing to make a quantum leap, so to speak, on, new business stuff, I actually read this book, which is like by Price Pritchard. It's called U Squared. And I think this first chapter really explains what we're going for with Quantum Leap, what your platform, which we're going to talk about, can help with. And I'll just read this passage and then we can talk about it. And we have some other things on the agenda too. It's a true story. Says Price Pritchard says, I'm sitting in a quiet room at the Millcroft Inn, a peaceful little place hidden back among the pine trees about an hour out of Toronto. It's just past noon, late July, and I'm listening to the desperate sounds. Sorry, let me change the view here. Of a life or death struggle going on a few feet away. There's a small fly burning out the last of its short life's energies in a futile attempt to fly through the glass of the window pane. The whining wings tell the poignant story of the fly's strategy. Try harder, but it's not working. The frenzied effort offers no hope for survival. Ironically, the struggle is part of the trap. It is impossible for the fly to try hard enough to succeed at breaking through the glass. Nevertheless, this little insect has staked its life on reaching its goal through raw effort and determination. This fly is doomed. It will die on the windowsill. Across the room, 10 steps away, the door is open. 10 seconds of flying time, and this small creature could reach the outside world it seeks. With only a fraction of the effort now being wasted, it could be free of this self-imposed trap. The breakthrough possibilities there would be so easy. Why doesn't the fly try another approach, something dramatically different? How did it get so locked in on the idea of this particular route and determined effort offer the promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? No doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. It may not offer any promise for getting what you want out of life. Sometimes, in fact, it's a big part of the problem. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, it may kill your chances for success. And that's his lead in. And sorry, that was a little long, but every time I really read that story, it really gets to the heart of what I believe this concept of quantum leap is about. It's about, we all are taught to kind of try harder and just keep trying, but that really can kill you in the long run. It can kill your efforts. It's really about finding a more elegant solution, he calls it, something that is almost looks effortless, but can get you there. And, the reason wanted to lead in there is this concept of quantum leap is something that you deliver with your Lyft platform. And, I can give my own testimonial about, why that is, but, I learned a lot of these concepts from you. So I just want to just ask you about one, if people haven't heard of Lyft, if you could just tell us what Lyft is, and also some of the new offerings you have with Lyft.
Sure. And just kind of going back to your story and what you're talking about, and I've seen you kind of make this quantum leap too, and make the effort to do it, because I think that this is especially true. It's especially true of Gail and I. We have a tendency to like to try things, and so we start a business and we try this, we try that, and the clients are slow to come. It's a lot of work, and consistency really is key in generating even that quantum leap. And to make it look effortless, oddly enough, it actually takes the effort of consistency. And I have to say, the kind of person I am, the kind of person, well, Gail's more consistent than me, but she likes the shiny objects. And the kind of people that I tend to coach and work with are also, they want to do new things. They want to try new things. And it can be a lot of work. It can be a killer to actual success. So what we realized is, how do we strike that balance and work with people like us who want to generate that quantum leap, have fun doing so, and establish a greater degree of consistency in what they do, so they get more clients, they get that success, they can then afford to try more things. And I like to say, just not have to go back to the job. That's something I've always avoided, and I want to help other people avoid. So the idea behind Lyft when we launched it is, we wanted to reach out to the most people. We had a lifestyle in mind of full-time travel. Gail and I were going to be nomads. We had the motorhome. We were going to travel around the United States. We had a 3-year plan at a minimum, and then maybe Europe, maybe the rest of the world. A couple of things happened to get in the way. One, we got started, and that lifestyle turned out to be so great that we wound up having a surprise pregnancy and a baby. And that kind of put a little bit of the kibosh on the travel, because family and other obligations that we had. And but we still did some of that travel. We still had the motorhome. We still have those plans. COVID hit, and I'm really glad we were not on the road at the time, especially with a small child, because everything started shutting down. It got to be very competitive to find space to park a motorhome, and that's not a good place to be with a young child. But we were very fortunate. We were able to switch our lifestyle to finding a small piece of property where we're homesteading. We're really enjoying an outdoor lifestyle. And, we did this by building our business in such a way that it can support that. And so we put our business online, when this, call it the Lyft community. And we're doing coaching, accountability, networking, providing all these things for helping the kind of people that we are get to the kind of lifestyle that they want. You could call it harmony and work-life balance. It can be, boy, I'd really like to travel, and how do I get clients while I do that? Or I'd like to have, a lifestyle where I take my family on vacations whenever I want to. It's whatever it is, we want to help make that happen. And what we realized is, again, the kind of people that we tend to start a business and then slog to the top of the mountain. We're kind of, I don't want to say uncoachable, but we sometimes avoid getting the coaching and the help because we want to do it on our own. And that can really be a killer. So when we seek out mentors, we make less mistakes. And when we make less mistakes, it actually turns out we get to do more things, because as we are consistent and we get a return, then it gives us the opportunity to try out more stuff and add more to the business and be more creative. So there's a little bit of a paradox that goes on there with finding those shortcuts, or as I was starting to kind of toy with the analogy of, when we start a business and starting to climb that mountain, we want to help you with Lyft, which is part of Take Wing Coaching, soar to the top of that mountain.
Yeah. And, my personal experience with it has some of the tools to get you there. And I think a lot of people, when they're stuck or they're lost, they don't really know what those tools are, but these are really some time-tested things that if you go out there and you read all the literature out there, these experts, I think the big problem is there's so much contradiction out there that there's so much bad information. There's whole business books that aren't going to give you these tools, but you've really curated the content. And, we'll talk about a few of those things. I think the to really break it down, it comes down to purpose, vision, and core values is where you need to get started. And in my opinion, I'd actually read this coaching program says you want to actually ask people and not tell people. So that's where we would suggest getting started. We can make our case about why that is. But could you tell us about, why those things are so important to really, and, I know from my own story, it's been life-changing to really connect with some of these things and implement those in my business, in my personal life as well.
Yeah, I think that what I found is that most people have an idea that they have a purpose, and maybe they've iterated a little bit, some core values, some vision, but and we're actually going to have this person on later today, or one of these broadcasts. My mentor said something I think really important to me, and probably is the reason she became I treat her as my mentor, is because she said, if somebody has what you want, do what they do. And well, it's not so much I wanted to be like her. I mean, we're very different people in that regard, but I wanted to be able to create the lifestyle the way she has created one for herself, right? The success that I saw coming up from having very little to, being able to do these things and be seen as a leader and all that was okay. So what do you do? And she says, well, I do these things. So I said, okay, I'm going to do these too. And that includes working on, personal development, putting a huge amount of time and money into that. I see David doing that too, and it's been very successful for him. And that's just one stage. And the next stage then is, okay, so as I'm running a business, what is my why? Why am I doing this? And what is my true purpose behind this? Not just like because I want to raise a family, but the why is, or go on this lifestyle. Sure, that's the why of why we're doing Lyft the way we're doing it. But the why I'm a business coach comes from a much deeper story, which I probably don't have time to tell here. But it comes from a lot of struggle in my background, and what I've earned from all those lessons is what I bring to my clients, which is no matter where you come from, you can create the things that you want. You can create that greater vision. So then the vision is, where are we going? And the lesson I learned again from my mentor is, the bigger the vision, the less the obstacles get in the way, because we're always focused on that big vision. From the vision, we create, we have the vision, and the why really sets the purpose. And then we start looking at the core values, and the core values are like, this is what I believe and nobody can shake them, right? So it's my mission. It kind of defines that mission. And, for me, there's a lot of curiosity, there's adventure, there's compassion that's all built into this. And I do not get away from those core values in the business. And if somebody doesn't resonate from them, they're probably with my core values, they're probably not going to be a good client for me. And it's very easy to find out which direction I want to go. Or if somebody says, hey, will you collaborate with me? Is this in alignment with my core values? Is it in alignment with my mission and my vision? And if it all works out, that's great. And if it feels out of sync, then maybe it's not going to be a good fit. So that's why it's so important, because it allows us to create that consistency that I talked about without having to do the same slog, same things over and over again that bore you. It's more about being consistent with the why, the vision, the purpose, and the core values. And when you have that consistency, things just tend to work much better.
Yeah, great. Well put. And another little testimonial there, I really realized early on when I joined B&I, which is how we met, that I realized everybody in B&I almost seems to know Cory, all over the Bay Area. And I was like, well, how is that? And that's because of, your core values and how you practice all these things of helping people, and also your just knowledge of how to really help other people. So, you said you watch how other people, they have what you want, and then you kind of copy that. And that's what I did with what a lot of what you do in your business too. And I did also, once you get on that path of personal development and business development, you really realize, oh, how much more I actually have to learn. But that whole process is what takes you there. And that's what's so exciting about kind of us doing this broadcast. And, for example, how you, the process of coaching, you got to continuously help people discover these purpose who maybe had never even familiar with, what a goal is or what your purpose is on this level. And it's powerful stuff. But could you tell me about, this concept of mindset coaching? I know you have an element in there. I think this is something that's been really critical to my development too. But what do you see around mindset and this significance for kind of unlocking your purpose or going after your goals?
Yeah, when I started, I started out working with a company that was in personal development, and had been recommended to me, and I worked with them as a student for years, and then trained some with them, kind of with the intention of going into that business, and I still plan to. It's part of my, my vision. But I think we look at this model. It's a very simple model. It's called thoughts, feelings, actions, results, and it really works kind of like you have a thought that generates a feeling. That feeling creates an action, and from that action you get a result. And mindset is really defines what that thought is going to look like. So if I want to change my results, which are way up here, say if you think of it like a pyramid, the result is the result comes from an action, which comes from a feeling, which comes from a thought, which comes from a mindset. I can't tell you to change your feelings, David. I mean, you feel this way about something, that's your feelings. I can kind of get you to change your thoughts. You can become aware of your thoughts. But if I can establish your mindset, what goes on behind those thoughts, then we can actually establish real change. And there's various different tools for doing that. And personal development is a big part of that. But when we're getting to maybe smaller things where we don't have to go super deep into somebody's life, which is, getting to those deeper stories, we can focus on thinking patterns and kind of the way we're wired to switch around some of those wires. And those wires then can create some slightly different thoughts and get us different feelings, which get us different actions and get us to the result that we want. And so I've been focusing a lot on that area of how we help somebody change their mindset when it helps to do so, when they want to get better results. And I do the same thing for myself. So it's a really fascinating tool. We can use that in sales. I love doing it in sales because I know coaches, I know myself. Some coaches love sales, but most of us do not. In fact, I'd say most solo entrepreneurs do not love sales. A lot of them fear sales. And it's one of the reasons why they become business people, but then they're wondering why they're not getting clients, or all this marketing is turning into leads, but nobody's converting. So that's a big, big thing around mindset. And then there's also mindset in, of course, marketing, technology, operations, and every other part of our life where I think we can affect a lot of change. And without, it's not terribly difficult. It's just a lot of reframing, asking the right questions, and just changing the way we see things. And having somebody show you that. Yeah.
Well put. And, we actually talked about some of this with my other business coach, Pradna, a few weeks ago about, really the most efficient way to generate that quantum leap is we actually have to change ourselves and be the person with the mindset who's going to produce the results that we want. We have the results that we have right now because we have the mindset that's producing those results. So, their belief, which I think is really an innovative thing and something that's I see so limited out there and an adequate understanding of it. That concept, we call it image maker. We touch on that at our December 1st conference. Folks can check that out on my YouTube page, and you go into vision and a lot of things there. And you also approach this from another direction too, with mind sonar and some of our habits, how to get at those habits. So you have a lot of these tools and toolboxes to really evaluate that vision. I think what makes you different, what makes my business coach different, but you guys also the same and us the same, is it really starts with that. You have to care about that other client, and be invested in their future, because it's not easy if you just have kind of somebody who is not really doesn't feel a connection to you. They're going to kind of give up when, to really get it that, I know this is a trademark term, the emotionally charged connection or some of the purpose stuff. you actually have to really drill down, and that you're not going to get there unless you have that connection with the coach. Would you say that's accurate, or what do you see in terms of people, what people should look for in picking a business coach, or if maybe you're the right fit for them or not?
I think that why is really important. I think any business coach can show you some good tools. It's always worth just exploring those tools and getting their perspective. I've had a lot of business coaches over the years, and a few I've really strongly connected with. And the ones that you connect with, I think it's where we have something similar in our struggle. There's a business coach, and I haven't worked with him, though I would, but we were more colleagues. So we worked together more as colleagues. And I loved his story. He says, when he was 15 years old, he threw a birthday party and nobody showed up. And now you meet this guy, he's a salsa instructor, he knows hundreds of people, he has thousands of clients. I mean, he does programs all over the world. He's a sought out speaker. He's super funny and, bright and engaging. And you say, okay, so he had this struggle growing up. So other people who have had similar struggles can feel very connected to that. Like, oh, now you can show me the way that you did it yourself. And I think that's where we really connect well with a coach. Any kind of coach is somebody who's had that kind of struggle and can show us the way. But they also have to have the skills to do that too, right? We can't just, put on the hat and say, now, I figured it out, now I'm going to show you. It takes a set of tools, and it takes also some mindset on how to work with people. So, finding that coach, ask them their story. And if they tell you a story that resonates with you, then that might be the person to work with. Often, that's the way I approach it.
Yeah, no, well put. And we are just about at time. I'm so glad we got a chance to revisit some of these key concepts in your teachings. And I just see as one of those persons with these huge wealth of knowledge. And that's why I really wanted you to, and why we created this show, to really carry that message. So we'll return to some of these. And if you have any closing comments, feel free to make them. Otherwise, we do have our guests that we got to let in. So I'm going to end this broadcast. We're going to start our second leg of Quantum Leap for the day. Okay, good. I'm going to stop it there. And thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.